Hello and welcome to today's discussion with Deanea LeFlore, Senior Director, Partnerships for the ION Houston, and recognized as the 2021 Global Leader of Influence by the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. I'm Sandia Bayou, Chief Development Officer here at the Council. It is our hope that you and your families are staying safe and being healthy. Deanea, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much, Sandia. It is a pleasure to be here. I appreciate this recognition and I feel humbled and honored by it. So thank you.
Certainly. The World Affairs Council of Greater Houston is dedicated to honoring individuals like Deanea, who have contributed to the international spirit of our city. In celebration, the Council annually hosts an international recognition luncheon highlighting their achievements. We call it Jesse H. Jones International Citizen of the Year Luncheon. I hope that all of you watching will be actually able to join us on October 14th. You can register for this event and see various other opportunities to engage with the Council on our website at wachhouston.org. Today, if you would please allow me just highlight some of your career path so our viewers are better familiar with our discussion. You are a public administrator with nearly 2 decades of experience in international affairs and entrepreneur enrichment. Currently, as I mentioned, you serve as Senior Director for Partnerships at the ION, a nucleus of innovation in Houston, as we know, fostering a community and culture where entrepreneurs and corporations come together, solve some of the world's greatest problems. Wow. Previously, you served as the head of protocol and international relations for the city of Houston. And I think that's how 2 of us have gotten to know each other many, many years ago. And what a great role that you served there too. Back to ION. Your work at the ION certainly aims to create partnerships and programming that seek to leverage entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation to address and not perpetuate systemic inequities by providing exposure and pathways to underrepresented communities. If we would go ahead and turn to some of the questions about you, your role at the ION for our better understanding. We know that the ION opened its doors in 2021. Could you give us and the viewers an understanding of the mission of the organization for Houston at large? And I've always been curious, does ION actually mean something, or if you would care to explain?
Sure. Thank you so much, Sandia, for that introduction. Yes, the ION we did finish completion on the building this year in 2021. The ION is a hub for innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. ION means go in Greek. So we're ready to go. We have a lot of great opportunities for Houstonians in the building. And so, yeah, a hub for innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. And even though you'll notice that some other cities have tech and innovation hubs, we're really being very purposeful in Houston about how we build our tech and innovation economy and making sure that we don't end up increasing the gap between the haves and the have-nots, because we have an opportunity to learn from what other people have done, what other cities have done, and then tweak it so it's right for the Houston economy.
Certainly, it's that experience and understanding of others and understanding local community environment certainly is the great way to start and proceed. I did read that your work at the ION actually began in advance of the brick and mortar location opening in 2021. What did the process look like, especially, obviously the crisis that we just have gone through and still going through?
Sure. Before we opened the new physical location of the ION, it's a converted Sears building department store that's been renovated to become an innovation hub. And we've left some of the character of the old building and added the new. So I think people will really enjoy getting to experience it. But before we moved into that new location, we were in an office building downtown. When the pandemic began, we had to shift all of our programming online. And we've been running a lot of our programming virtually to date during the pandemic because we didn't want entrepreneurs, corporations, students to miss out on opportunities to connect with each other. And so we kept going through the pandemic virtually to supply and fill that need.
And is that, for my better understanding, are you as a building up and running, open doors, or is it still in progress?
The building is up and running. The ION's programming is still virtual for the time being. People can find our events at www.ionhouston.com and see all of the different activities that we have. We do some limited in-person engagements in the building now. The co-working space is available on the second floor. It's run by Common Desk. We have corporate tenants who have moved into the building already. And so the building is up and running and ready. And as soon as it's safe to do so, we'll be able to have major in-person gatherings inside the space again.
Can't wait. Can't wait to go and see it as well. We've said a few times, of course, that ION is located here in Houston, and a very international city. We say that it's probably the most diverse city in US. How does your work or the work that you currently are doing capture the base that is representative of such culturally diverse and rich area that we have?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. And that's another thing that we're being very intentional about at the ION. We are aiming to create programming that's going to attract Houston's diverse audiences. As you know, more than 1 in 4 Houstonians was born in another country. And that makes up a tremendous entrepreneurial base in Houston. In addition to the ethnic diversity that we have here. So we want to make sure that the programs that we offer are meeting Houstonians where they are, and it's also attractive to them. For example, we have a series called Plaza Tech. Plaza Tech is our outreach, one of our outreach programs that features Latinx entrepreneurs and elevating the tremendous and wonderful work that they're doing in the tech ecosystem, but also inspiring our diverse population of Houstonians to see what are the possibilities? What are the possibilities for people who look like me, who've already gone there and done that? How can I tap into that ecosystem and emulate their success and even surpass their success? So as we do programming in the ION, we are definitely making sure that we are offering speakers and opportunities that reflect the diverse nature of our city.
And certainly, and the age groups, is it something open for students? I assume so. High school, middle school, students of life, as we all are.
Yeah, great question. When you walk into the ION, we want you to see yourself represented there. So we'll have all age groups in the ION, but since you specifically mentioned students, I'd love to point out that we have the ION Academic Network. That means that all 10 of Houston's 4-year and 2-year institutions are welcome to come together and are invited to come together and collaborate in our space and do joint projects together. And we'll have special programming to cause those we call them collisions, a buzzword in the industry, to cause those collisions to spark innovation and creativity. And so we are delighted to have programming for our academic network, and students of life, as you said, are always welcome to come to the ION. Interesting when you say about all ages, I think when people think about tech startups, they get like an image of maybe Silicon Valley in their mind of young guys in hoodies and cool tennis shoes. Well, the average age of an entrepreneur is actually 40. Wow. Those are people who have some experience working in corporations and knowing how they can then create their own lane and sell back to the industry that they were a part of. And so I think people may think that they don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but I think as you start to come to programs at the ION and start to meet people and get connected, you might find that entrepreneurship isn't exactly the image that you had in mind and could very well be a lane for you.
Oh, that's very encouraging. That's certainly very much the vision I think that many of us have and think that we know, but it's ways to explore. Like I said, you always learn and you don't know what you don't know, right? So
Yep.
thank you for clarifying that. And what would you say is your vision for Houston in general as the innovation and technology hub? You created the ION, but how on a bigger scale of a city, again, with that global city that we have here?
Yeah. So my vision is to attract some of the best talent from around the world to come and collaborate with us here in Houston. That's what our city, it's an international city. That's what we're all about. We want people to come here and put down roots here and grow their companies here, grow your startup here, move your Fortune 500 here, as many others have done. But in addition to that, we want to grow our local talent. We want to make sure that the students who are graduating from our incredible universities, we have number ones in so many things like U of H, number one in entrepreneurship, Rice University dominating in many categories. And then we have tremendous second year universities that are putting people into jobs or sending them on to four-year universities. We want to make sure that we capture that talent, that they stay in Houston. We don't want students to feel like they have to leave and go to California or go to New York in order to achieve something in technology and entrepreneurship. We want to have those jobs right here. Another thing is, if Houstonians aren't involved in technology and innovation or think that that's not for me, I can tell you, everyone's job is related to technology now. We've all been innovative during the course of this pandemic. We want to change Houstonians' perceptions of what technology and innovation and entrepreneurship is and get them onboarded, get them ready for the jobs of the future. So in saying that, we'll be providing upskilling opportunities. Maybe a four-year university isn't the right path for you and your family. Maybe taking some sort of boot camp and learning digital training, maybe that's going to put you where you want to be faster and get you connected to a job that's going to support you and your family. Maybe you're already in tech and just with a little more training, maybe you're at the help desk now with a little more training in coding, etc., you become a software engineer. What kind of difference can that make in creating generational wealth for people's families? So that's what we're about at the ION, is not an exclusive tech ecosystem that belongs to a few, but a technology and innovation ecosystem that people feel like they can be a part of and that they can access, or access at least the pieces of it that are necessary to help improve whatever it is that they're trying to work on.
Wow, appreciate that. Certainly, it changed my perception of, again, what we don't know, but appreciate clarifying that. I have, talking about students and education, as you know, we do a lot of work with Houston area schools, from private schools to homeschool students to, of course, public schools. I'm very proud to have student world affairs chapters created in close to 30 high schools. So again, it's something very proud to give the opportunity for them to participate with us. And in anticipation for our dialogue today, we have reached out to some of the students and they have submitted questions for me to ask you. So the following questions actually are coming from our high school students. Andreas asked, looking back, any guidance, suggestion you might have to your younger self? Career, education, or personal?
That's a great question. I remember when I was a student and I was trying to pick a major and decide what I wanted to do, people told me, do what you love and then worry about how to find a job later. And I remember shortly after graduating being very upset with the people who gave me that advice. And I thought that they had steered me wrong, because what I love is connecting people, cross-cultural communications, exploring new places and understanding what that influence has on my personal life. And so I majored in Spanish and international studies and communications, almost 3 majors. And I remember it was all of the engineers who were going off to Dubai and working on projects and having all of this international cultural engagement. And I thought, I should have been an engineer so that I could have done international engagement and relationship building, because that's who was going. But I'll say that in time, I did end up getting into my career and finding my niche. And so I will give the same advice that was given to me: study what you love and then worry about how you'll make a living at it. Because when you love it, you will rise to the top of that field and you'll end up being the best in that field. And there's always a market for someone who's the best. So yeah, study what you love.
Absolutely. And I probably add to that, when you do what you love doing, it doesn't feel like you're working. It's something you look forward to doing, engaging, and going to work is not really going to work and necessarily clocking in or clocking out. So I second you on that suggestion.
Yeah.
Fatima was wondering, what advice, similar back to the kind of education career path, what advice do you have for aspiring students who are considering a similar role, career with your international presence and international participation?
Sure. I definitely recommend studying languages. I love languages and have studied several over the years. And even if it turns out that you never become fluent in a particular language, the mere act of studying it helps you understand the culture better and the mindset better, the politics better, the people better. So just the mere fact of attempting, even if you never become fluent, I think is a really good way to dig into the culture of other places. So I definitely recommend love of languages if you want to have a career in international affairs.
Would you remind me what languages you do speak, or
Okay,
no?
so
Or
I will say what languages I have studied.
Okay, that's
because when one falls out of practice, because that's something else that I absolutely love about Houston, the diversity of our city. Because when you say you speak whatever, then sure enough, there's someone in the room who's fluent in it. So yeah, I am fluent in Spanish for sure. I have studied at one point of time and another Arabic for like 5 years every Saturday at a cultural and community center. And more than Arabic, more than the language of Arabic, I developed a deeper appreciation and understanding of the region through the culture, through the language. And also French, Chinese, Italian, Japanese. Yeah. Great shout out to friends at the, we have so many different organizations in Houston, the Japan America Society, the list just goes on, where you can immerse yourself, and the World Affairs Council, of course, where you can immerse yourself in different cultures and meet people with different backgrounds. And it really enriches, I feel it really enriches your life. And not to sound cliche, but it literally expands your world.
very true. And finally, we talk international relations, cultures, places, people. Edmund is wondering, actually, is there a trip or experience during a trip that kind of stands out as really significant, that when I say trip or voyage, that takes you there first place that you go?
So thank you for asking that question. And I love that it came from a student. I would say the first time that I left Tulsa, Oklahoma and left to go abroad was not until college. And I went to Spain. And before that trip, I thought that I was going to be a broadcast journalist. Once I went to Spain, that is what expanded my horizons and really made me see how beautiful and rich the world outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma could be, and made me crave more of those interactions and learn more about the world that I didn't know really anything about. And so I would say the trip to Spain is what was really quite life-changing for me and set me on the path that I'm on now.
Wonderful. Can you believe the time has almost run out? I want to say thank you for your time. I want to say congratulations once more. Looking forward to celebrating you on October 14th. And as I mentioned, all the details are on our website at wac.org. Deanea, before we say goodbye, any closing remarks or any comments from you?
I'd like to say that I really thank the World Affairs Council for all of the tremendous speakers that you've brought over the years. I personally have really enjoyed the programming. I appreciate the outreach that you all have done to Houston's consular community over the years. And so my hat's off to the World Affairs Council for the great work that you've done in bringing the world to Houston.
That's a wonderful way to finish it. With that, again, I'm going to say thank you. Congrats one more time, and looking forward to seeing you very soon, and have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.